On October 18, 2018, Heather Gardner set out on what she thought would be an ordinary evening. It was late, and with a busy schedule to juggle, she decided to catch up on laundry at a local laundromat. Along with her was her sister, Jessie, and her 2 sons, her toddler Jathan and her 2-month-old baby, Benson. As the sisters went about their chores, Jessie made a horrifying discovery. She reached into Benson's car seat, expecting to feel the warmth of his tiny body, but instead, his skin was ice cold. His lips had turned blue. Panic set in immediately. Heather, heart racing, rushed to perform CPR, her hands shaking as she tried to revive her unresponsive baby. Meanwhile, Jessie fumbled to dial 911, her voice thick with terror as she pleaded for help. The ambulance arrived within minutes, but the paramedics could only confirm the unthinkable. Baby Benson was already gone. At first, officers suspected sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, a tragic but natural cause. However, as the investigation unfolded, something far more sinister came to light. Detectives turned their attention to the last person who had been with Benson before his sudden death. His babysitter, Marissa Tietsort. Heather had trusted Marissa for months. She was a longtime friend and had watched Benson and Jathan on multiple occasions. But that night, when Heather picked up her children, something felt off. Marissa had been unusually distant. She handed over Benson, wrapped up tightly in his snowsuit, and shut the door quickly. Too quickly. Unlike her usual small talk, she said nothing. No instructions, no check-ins, nothing. As Heather and Jessie recounted their interactions with Marissa, their sense of unease grew. Something wasn't right. The police wasted no time tracking Marissa down. When they knocked on her apartment door, she was nowhere to be found. Instead, detectives had to trace her phone signal, eventually leading them to a nearby hotel where she was hiding with her boyfriend, Adam. When confronted, Marissa's behavior was deeply disturbing. Rather than breaking down in grief or showing concern, she laughed, as if the situation was a joke. She even smirked as detectives questioned her. As the interrogation continued, a shocking truth emerged. Benson had already been dead before Heather arrived to pick him up. Instead of calling 911, seeking help, or telling Heather the truth, Marissa had done something unimaginable. She dressed Benson's lifeless body in his snowsuit, strapped him into his car seat, and handed him back to his mother, knowing full well that he was already gone. And then, as if nothing had happened, she and her boyfriend drove to McDonald's for dinner. This wasn't the first time Marissa Tietsort had been involved in a child abuse case. Just 2 months prior, another child in her care had suffered severe head trauma, but she had managed to avoid serious consequences. Marissa had multiple children of her own, but most had already been taken away by social services due to neglect. Yet, she still found work as a babysitter, preying on unsuspecting parents who thought they were leaving their children in safe hands. But Benson's death was different. This time, the evidence was overwhelming. The autopsy report revealed horrific injuries. Benson had not died from natural causes. Instead, his tiny body showed signs of blunt force trauma. His skull was fractured, and his internal injuries were consistent with being violently thrown. Confronted with the evidence, Marissa finally cracked. Through tears and half-truths, she admitted that she had been frustrated that night. She had forcefully thrown Benson into his pack-and-play, hard enough to cause fatal injuries. Instead of seeking medical attention, she had simply left him there to die. Then, realizing he was gone, she concocted her sick cover-up, handing Benson's body back to his mother as if nothing had happened. Marissa Tietsort was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide. Despite her attempts to play the victim, claiming that she had brain damage from years of drug abuse, the court saw through her lies. She was sentenced to 37 years in prison for Benson's murder, along with an additional 3 years for the previous child abuse case. For Heather Gardner, no sentence would ever bring back her son. Her baby boy was gone forever, stolen from her by someone she had trusted. Even behind bars, Marissa showed no remorse. Instead, she began manipulating people from prison, writing letters to multiple men, promising love and devotion in exchange for money and gifts. She even begged the judge to lower her bail, claiming that she was not a monster. But the world knew better. Marissa Tietsort was a predator, and Benson's death was not an accident. It was a cold, calculated act of cruelty. This case raises disturbing questions. How was Marissa still able to babysit despite her past abuse cases? Why wasn't she stopped sooner? And most chilling of all, were there more victims? Benson's story serves as a tragic warning to parents everywhere. Not everyone who offers to care for your child has good intentions. Do you believe Marissa's sentence was harsh enough? Should she have received life in prison? Comment below and let us know your thoughts. Subscribe for more true crime stories and shocking real-life cases.